I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Part 2, you guys. Yay.
Part 2 on the way. Yeah, seeing as how this is a 2-parter,
Look, Dwayne.
we'll just get right into it. What
You're
did
just
Dwayne
mad.
say? Did he say something about the Beatles?
6.5.
Because he's a Beatles head.
He knows it's good, so he would have given it a 3.5.
Rating songs is fascist, actually. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
All right, ready?
Okay,
Part
so
2.
Alleviate is part 2, inshallah. Let's do it.
Am I destined to wear these chains? Am I the one to blame? Why everything goes up in flames? Remind me once again. Tell me what you see. I see fire burning desperately. Don't let me down. Silence the sound, that's the sound. I feel my heart break apart, bursting into pieces under all the secrets. When shadows fall and darkness comes, save me from myself and alleviate the pain. Hate that I feel like I'm lost, that nothing ever changed. I'm tired of looking round rooms where everyone's so strange. Am I doomed to make the same mistake and put myself to shame? Like everything is just a game. Alleviate the tell me what you see. I see fire burning desperately. Don't let me
was part 2. The name of that song was
Alleviate.
Alleviate.
I loved this one as well. The other, part 1 I like better, but I still liked this one a lot. It kind of reminded me. So when he's talking about the secrets, and he's saying like, where is that part? Under all the okay, I feel my heart break apart, bursting into pieces under all the secrets. So I actually used to be a youth pastor at my old church where I grew up.
Such a bad idea.
Say what you will.
Such a bad idea.
So there's so many things I want to say right now, but I'm not sure which direction to go in. Well, one of the things was, you know, a lot of times you teach people what you learn, and so purity culture was like a big thing that I grew up under, which is you basically like, it's all about don't have sex before you get married. Like there's a lot of pressure put on that. There's like a lot of big deal. They'll do weird things like, you know, they might take a rose out at the beginning of the conference and pass it around and tell everybody to smell it. And then at the end, the rose is like all like
Wilted,
fallen apart, wilted, ripped apart, you know, like it's just from being, you know. And then they basically say, like, if you pass yourself around to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you're going to be like this rose, and who's going to want that? And, you know, it's tossed. It's like, it's such a horrible, horrible message, because a person's identity and their value is not wrapped up in their sexuality, but apparently somebody missed the memo on that one. Well, so I was teaching basically the same thing that I had learned, but I was teaching it to these kids about sexual purity and stuff like that, and, you know, waiting till you're married, which I think that it has its... it definitely has its positives in the messaging, but there's also negatives to it as well. Well, I was unaware of the group and where everybody might be at, and I was just teaching what I had been taught. And then I noticed there was this one girl that got progressively heavier and heavier looking, and
heavier,
like
emotional.
as in sad, emotionally. Yeah. Okay. She got more sad and more sad looking, and then she basically was like, well, you know, I can't remember how she said it, but she let the cat out of the bag. She was so young too. I couldn't believe that she had already had sex. And then I talked to her about, you know, that's the importance of Jesus and how he died on the cross for your sins, and that he, like, all you have to do is ask him to forgive you, and then you're completely good. And it was crazy because, like, these are all things that I had been taught, but I'd never seen like it actioned in somebody. And so when I said that to her, she, like, there was all this relief that just came over her, and she said, that's it, I just have to ask him to forgive me, and that's it. And I was like, yeah. And then, like, so she took like a little moment, and she had a little prayer or something, and then she got really, really happy after that. And then the whole group was like, it was the cutest little moment for teenagers. But I was thinking when I was listening to this song, like, you know, if I was back there with the teenagers, that's one thing that I would teach them about is secrets, and how secrets are not, like, when you're little, secrets are like this fun little thing, like, ooh, we've got secrets, you know, but secrets can become like it can eat away at your soul depending on what type of secret it is. And how when you're young, you feel like, well, that's fine, I'm just not going to tell anybody this. I mean, I'm just going to keep that inside. But then as you age, that secret itself begins to eat away at you, whether you face it or not. It's having its effect on you, which is part of the reason we came up with the Sori secret theme. You know, maybe you're sick because of your secrets. And so just the concept of that, and that, you know, I would tell them now, if I was to go back, I would tell them that as you age, there's going to be more and more things that you're going to want to keep a secret, because the more you age, the more you're going to realize, like, how much evil is in your actual own heart. And that, you know, you look at bad guys or bad people over there and you're like, wow, those people are really bad. But as you get older, you have to contend with your own thoughts more, and the things that happen to you can be more frustrating, and the thoughts that you have as reaction to what you would do in certain situations may shock you sometimes. And so I think that I would talk to them more about, you know, that's one of the cool things that there is in Christianity, is that, like, there's a Bible verse that says, confess your sins one to another and be healed. And I think that that's been used wrongly in some instances. It's been used to get people to talk, and then what they say then gets used against them. But it's not that type of environment. It's a safe environment where you can say, hey, like if you're talking to a friend and you're able to say, hey, look, this is what I've been through, this is what I've done, and something about getting that stuff off your chest and being able to say it to someone that you trust and someone that can pray for you and stuff is absolutely unbelievable. So when I heard this song, I thought of, there was a time where a group of my friends, we all just kind of went through this thing where we were just like, you know what, fuck it, we're not holding any more secrets. And we all like just started telling our secrets, all the stuff that, over the years that had kind of like built up inside that we never talked to anyone about. And the joy that was there after those times was pretty unbelievable. But so this is kind of what this song made me think of. And he was saying like, when the shadows fall and darkness calls, save me from myself and alleviate the pain. I don't know. I guess that I want people to be able to have saving. And anyway, you go ahead. I'm not really sure where to go from there.
Well, I mean, a lot of families institutionalize secrecy, and obviously, like, it's not wise to broadcast. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
But when certain lines are being crossed or people are being abusive and things of that nature, that kind of secrecy is not good. Mm-hmm. And so there's that side of it as well, where it's like people are pressured into a type of secrecy involuntarily, where they would want to say something, they would say something, but they can't because then, they'll be betraying the family X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. And, am I destined to wear these chains? Am I the one to blame when everything, why does everything go up in flames? Remind me once again, tell me what you see. I see fire burning desperately. Don't let me down. Silence the sound. So that's one of the biggest things I think that really goes with depression is this concept that the place that you're in right now is a place you're always going to be in. Ugh. Right? Like, am I destined to wear these chains? Like, that was like a big fear of mine, because I grew up hearing like, oh, we've got this thing generationally. This person has depression, this person. And this person's dysfunctional, this person's dysfunctional. And it was like this family kind of line of dysfunction. And I just remember that was like something that I was really, really terrified about was that. And then, I came of age 15, 16, starting to manifest depressive traits and things like that. I'm like, oh God, here it is. And, I'm on this trajectory. And then obviously,
oh my gosh,
previous relationship was a bit difficult. And that person had a bunch of dysfunction, surprise. And so there were a lot of times when I just felt like, okay, that's it. I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this thing, and it's never going to change. I'm always going to be this way. And that could be one of the most brutal, self-fulfilling prophecies ever, because what I didn't have that I now have looking backwards is somebody to say, bruh, if you inherited this, generationally speaking, you inherited a mountain, and you're not going to erode a mountain in one day. And, if you look at erosion, it takes, thousands, hundreds of thousands of years to erode a mountain, and hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of raindrops and wind and, animals and all types of other things that have to conspire together over a period of time. So the minute that first, raindrop falls on that mountain or whatever, it's doomed. But if you look at it like 5-10 years, it's like, oh, it's the same mountain. No, it's not. It is not. And eventually there's this sort of crisis point for the mountain where it just collapses into itself and it's rubble. And now you can look and say, oh, I've got, but up until that point, it looks like the mountain's invincible. And you think about how like massive a mountain is. For it to be undone by a drop of water, if you think about it, is fascinating. And there's a lot of, Jonathan Edwards believed that there was a lot of truth in nature if we would observe. And that's a major truth. And so I look at it in my life, and so like if I had somebody like back then saying, look, you are aware at 16 or 17 that you're dysfunctional. Okay, that's not
a lot of these people
that's
were
not what
not.
you inherited. That's a
Right.
drop of water.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
aware that something has to change in your future, that the way that you were the family system you grew up in was not good. Boom, that's another water. And so like you start looking at all different ways that you're accumulating drops of water to take down that mountain, and then you can look to the future and you're going to say, okay, at some point that motherfucker's going to collapse. At some point it's going to collapse. But I didn't have anybody to tell me that. So I'm just looking at it. I mean, now I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, that was one. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, you talk about this moment a lot. We had some little family issue, and, you know, family dinner is really, really important to them, especially Dorian. So we were setting up family dinner, and we had this massive family tension. And
I don't even remember. I never can remember what the tension was about.
yeah, it's almost immaterial at this point. But so I sat down there, and I'm just like, what? I forgot what I said. I said like,
Nope. I remember you saying nope. We're not gonna have this. But you basically said we're not gonna sit here and pretend that everything is okay
Right.
and have a happy-go-lucky family dinner when there's these underlying issues.
Right.
And Dorian was like, you could tell Dorian was not happy with that interruption.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I mean, I could throw in with you. I just don't really know how we're like what to do in this situation. And you know, food got cold, but it was well worth it.
yeah, that
I felt like that was a game changer. That something changed at that point.
But that's how those sick family systems, that's how those mountains get erected. Because just like destroying those mountains of dysfunction or depression, whatever you want to, just like those are subtle and you don't notice them until the crumbling has happened, those horrible mountains get built by those kinds of moves. Mm-hmm. And there's messaging happening to everybody in that kind of a context.
Yep.
When everybody knows that there's some simmering underlying issue, but we're gonna ritualize this family thing so that we can point to that and say, oh, we're a good family. Look, we eat around the dinner table, which, you know, it's a good family ritual. We eat around the dinner table. Oh, we're a good family. But we've got this underlying seething problem happening, and that's a way to reinforce this is how you handle dysfunction. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying going, whoa, we're not doing this, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying like that's the best possible way to handle it, but it's the least bad way of handling it in that context. You say it that way. And it's funny to me, like it had a massive impact on you because it was diametrically opposed to the way that your family would have handled it. Right? And
Yeah, we would have all ate our supper. But I remember when there was issues and we were all sitting around the table and like eating, and I remember feeling like the food was just not going down well.
Yeah.
But that we were all pretending everything was okay.
Yeah.
So I was grateful for it. Like I can function in both environments now. Like I can cover it up and pretend everything's okay and just move it forward. And I think there's a part of me that still that got so acclimated to that, I kind of want to stay there. But then there's the other side of me that's like, well, let's try something different. And then when we sat down to eat after that, like, yeah, I mean, the food got cold and had to be microwaved and whatever, but it was a good dinner. So we were closer after, and you could tell, you know, so.
Yeah, and it was important for me to kind of make a show of it just because I wanted that to be a lasting sort of ethic for the kids. Mm-hmm. Because that would happen also in my home, although we would have the dysfunction, the yelling or whatever, and then it wasn't like, oh, we're all a happy family. It's just we're not going to talk about the aftermath. Like, mom and dad just got into it. Mom and stepdad just got into it. There's this broken glass and shit all over the place. But now we're going to eat, and we're just going to keep it moving, and everybody knows it's awkward, but nobody's going to address anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So all of that, like, goes to feeling like you're wrapped in chains. A lot of that is family systems. Definitely a lot of depression is chemical. And you know, there are chemical remedies for that. You know what I'm saying? But the other side of it is also you were raised in certain ways and given certain lies and given certain beliefs that you have to deconstruct in order to survive, in order to live. And, that's why, there's this deconstruction movement in Christianity right now, in American Christianity, where you got a bunch of people, a bunch of Gen Xers and, some millennials who are saying, yeah, like, I don't really believe this stuff anymore, yada, yada, yada. And people are looking at it like, even they're looking at it like they're abandoning Christianity. I've been saying, well, hold on. Maybe they're abandoning something that they feel is a package deal, like a destructive religion, for example, about sexuality. American Christianity is horrible with sexuality. Pre and post marriage, it's horrible.
Yep.
Pre-marriage, it's and look, I believe monogamy is marriage and monogamy is the healthiest way of managing your sexuality. I believe that. I think the CDC backs that up, and I think the emotional ramifications, particularly for women, of having 5 or 6 partners, the prevalence of HPV, the emotional thing, the whole friends with benefits movements, where psychologically it's clear that was not beneficial to women. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on. So there are massive parts of American culture that people are also deconstructing from. People in our generation are open to questioning capitalism, for example, which the previous generations just assumed, even in their youth, for the most part. Now it's mainstream to question capitalism. You know what I'm saying? So all of us are deconstructing from unhealthy, American institutional ideology, which also includes religion.
Yep.
And that's why I've been saying, like, I'm not sure that all these people saying I'm deconstructing from Christianity or whatever, I'm not sure that they're leaving Jesus. To me, it could very well be, we're seeing a landslide on this mountain that needs to be destroyed. Because American Christianity, at some level, needs absolute destruction. Because I've seen it have such a destructive effect, inside and outside, in how sexuality is handled, how LGBT kids are handled, how we handle money, how we handle healthcare, how we handle foreign policy. I mean, surprise, surprise, we have a hand in some of the shit that's happening. We have a major hand in some of the shit that's going on right now. So, yeah, I think that God does, and on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, you're destroying a family, oh, you're destroying church, oh, you're unpatriotic, and that's how people keep you in these chains, so that you're always, you're always having to be locked in because they're locked in. Like we're watching something, we're not going to call out the community, but there's a community of people who are obviously unhealthy. Oh. And
I thought you were talking about the dispensationalists.
And they've given up. They've given up that they can ever change. So now they're promoting this thing as a healthy lifestyle when it's objectively a non-healthy lifestyle. It's going to kill you by the time you're 50. But now they're going full force with the fake science and all the rest of it being completely unhealthy, and now what's going to happen? So now everybody else has to be locked into these chains because of their institutionalized unhealthiness, right? And so anyway, you don't have to be part of anybody's crazy ass institution that's making you unhealthy, and just because you have a family system that's unhealthy, that doesn't mean that you need to replicate it. And just because you have a religious system that's unhealthy, that doesn't mean you have to replicate it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. You can get healthy, you can get well, and God is not against health and wellness.
Right. They didn't say it. They didn't say God was against it.
Well, again, a lot of these people would say that if you leave an American religious institution, that means that you're,
Yep.
So, okay. So
8.9 for me on this one.
Okay. I actually like this one better than
the one before?
Than the one before. So I'm gonna give this one a solid, a hard 9. Alan goes, I don't like my family's traditions. I'll make my own. There you go. Excellent.
All right, you guys. Bad Omens is next. The name of the song is "The Death of Peace of Mind."
Holy smokes! Having said that, dear listener, Vin out.
Sori out.
Go.